The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors: Woodland Stud, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, Brecon Farms, Stonewall Stud, IRT, it's your horse and our passion, Australasian Wide Garrard's Horse and Hound, Rakiro Racing Stables, Lincoln Farms, the clubs Alexandra Park, Cambridge Raceway, Ashburton Trotting Club, Addington Raceway and Harness Racing New Zealand. And welcome to this very special edition of Your Box Seat. Yes, brought to you by our stable of sponsors as we build towards the inaugural race, the $900,000 The Race by Grins and Michael Guerin. We don't often have something brand new to talk about in harness racing, but this concept has built momentum, and come Thursday night at 8:55, it's going to be exciting.
Hi Gregory, welcome back to Auckland, and hi to everybody watching around Australasia. New is good. New at 900,000 is better, but new with the Australians here, Greg, is crucial. This concept, which was first born out of Harness Racing New Zealand for the harness racing world, then taken over by the Waikato Bay of Plenty Harness Racing Club and David Branch. It's great. I love it because people will say, well, the money's coming from somewhere else. The money's not coming from Harness Racing New Zealand or turnover. Well, that's how the Magic Millions works and the Karaka Million works, and that's basically how the Sire Stakes works. Where the money comes from isn't going to bother the people watching this. What they see as harness racing is a $900,000 race. But Greg, crucial to that is the Australian component for two reasons. First of all, we're broadening our market. The Australians are going, hey, this is cool. I'm going to watch this on Thursday night. Thursday before Easter, there's not much else on. But most importantly, we have a race of uncertainty. So often in the last 2 years, because of COVID and no travel, Gregory, we've pretty much known that Purdon may run to the frontier, or Krug may run to the frontier in different types of races. That's no longer here. We are not sure what a Jack Callaghan may do, what a Jack Trainor may do, what Cameron Hart may do. We're not sure where Markadan fits into this equation. It's a wonderful uncertainty we have in front of us. That's why we went out after the barrier draw, Greg, post-barrier draw, and spoke to every single person in the race to give the people watching at home the best information to make their choice. Yeah,
we're looking forward to giving that all to you on this edition of Your Box Seat. We're going runner by runner, and at the back end of the show, we'll still get the chance to do some of the things we normally do on Your Box Seat, including looking back at the 9th career Group 1 win by the remarkable trotter that is Sunday's Sun. Let's go to the market for the race by Grins. Headed up by stylish Memphis, who's a $10 shot from the inside. She was always going to draw there. Alta Orlando at 12. Spankem, who we haven't seen a lot of in the last 12 months, $4.50, as is the price for South Coast Arden, $2.40. Remains the price for Self Assured, and Michael, Majestic Cruiser, one of the Aussies, at 26s.
Nice indicative early betting market to give you an idea, but let's be realistic about this. Once the algorithms start pinging, once Betfair comes into play, this will completely change. The racing has changed enormously in the last 18 months, and so often we hear about market movers in the last 5 minutes before races. They are usually nothing to do with what you do at home. Nothing. You can bet as big as you want. Irrelevant. How they affect the algorithms, Greg, and how that makes people bet will affect these markets in the last 5 minutes. They are based on strike rates, so therefore people and horses with great strike rates will lower. Purdon, Self Assured, these horses may be a chance to do that. Other horses who don't have the same strike rates or the same hype, the same numbers behind them, they are the ones who will go out. So if you are going to be betting into the race, look at the TRB's due starting price product if you're going to be backing horses in the second half of the field. For horses in the first half of the field, favouritism-wise, you may want to choose to go earlier if you think they'll come in.
Right, let's get straight into the runner-by-runner profile. The first of those is Stylish Memphis, the only mare in the race. Let's have a look at her credentials. Slot holder, Barrett Holmes. They got Stylish Memphis reasonably early on by Better's Delight, one of 4 in the race by the mighty Sire. Trained here in New Zealand by Mark Jones, but as we know, in Sydney by Jack Trainor. Wayne Higgs owns and bred the mare. She's won nearly $700,000, 15 races, and here she is winning her second, what we called the ladyship. This day it was called the Queen Elizabeth II Mile, the second, of course, and she dashes up the middle.
Yep, she is a horse I think is best suited to Menangle. All her best form, New South Wales Oaks, 2 of these races have been at Menangle. This showed what she could do from barrier 1, sitting close to the speed, peeling off a good speed. But is she as potent in New Zealand? Is she as potent on a smaller track? That may be the question. Her ultimate chances, Gregory, may be dictated by what happens with Alta Orlando. If Jack Callaghan decides to stay in front on Alta Orlando, she's in the trail. From there she can win. If he hands the lead away or has no option, is crossed, or chooses to give it away, she's 3 deep on the inside. She will need a miracle. I'm not sure the Menangle version of her may turn up on a smaller track here, but the start and that race position crucial. I think she'll be 3 deep, and therefore I struggle to see her winning. If I am wrong about that and Alta Orlando holds the lead, she becomes a serious chance in the race.
Yeah, she does. She's twice won, or once in 1:49.2, and then was placed in that time in a Miracle Mile. She is trained and driven by Jack Trainor.
Welcome home. Got barrier 1. It's a nice welcome home present, Jack Trainor.
Yeah, we'll take that. Could have been a lot worse. Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be here.
Does stylish Memphis have the gate speed to use barrier 1?
She definitely can hold her own out the gate, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it matches up compared to like the Menangle style gate speed, because I think that she might surprise a few. That back to the New Zealand style racing, I think she might be able to hold her own a bit more than what people would think.
Do you buzz her up in the prelim or pid the shorteners, and what do you do to try and eke some more gate speed out of her?
Yeah, I think I might try the shorteners on her over here. It's obviously sort of something that's phased out over in Australia, and you don't see a lot of it anymore, but I think that might help her, and yeah, it's not the end of the world if we do get crossed over, but it'd be nice to be able to hold a real forward spot.
Alta Orlando's a horse you know well, and he's right next to you. Do you have any chance of holding him because he's next to you, or are you in fact, Jack, quite happy to end up trailing him?
Yeah, I think we just come out for the first 100 and see how everything comes out beside us, but I mean, it's definitely not the worst horse to be following, and maybe if you're a free fence at Cambridge, it doesn't seem too bad a place to be.
You know these horses pretty well, the Australians, and of course you've seen plenty of Self-Assured and South Coast Arden. Where do you put stylish Memphis in that lineup?
Yeah, well, obviously the Self-Assureds and that, they're the top echelon of New Zealand racing, and it's hard to probably get a guide because they haven't raced or clashed very often, but definitely not treating them lightly. We're just here to enjoy being part of the race, and I know that my mare can follow the speed no matter how quick they go, and I'm really looking forward to having her tucked away on the fence and seeing what she can do against the boys.
Who's the horse to beat?
Well, Self-Assured's going to have to be good, but it's hard to discredit him, and yeah, I think he's probably the horse that everyone's still going to have to hold off.
Excellent talent is Jack Trainor, really carving out his career in Sydney now, Michael, and I love her on the fence. Being on the markers at Cambridge, we know how potent they can be from there. She therefore has to be, regardless of whether she's in the trail or through the fence, a very bona fide top 4 chance.
I think her winning chance depends on being in the trail. From the trail, she can win. I don't think she'll be there. I think it's more likely she's 3 deep. I don't think she can win from 3 deep. She hasn't shown that type of speed in New Zealand before. So she's not in my top 4, but that would radically change if Alta Orlando holds the lead. Where do you place her?
Yeah, I have her probably in 4th or 5th position. I think she'll be 3 back on the fence, and I think a top 5 slot would be an absolute outstanding achievement for her and her connections. One of 3 millionaires in the race is Alta Orlando. We know him well here in New Zealand. He carved out a very good age group career before going amiss and then travelling to Australia. Big connections involved in the slot holders. Many of those names we know. IRT's Richard Cole, Trevor Casey has raced some good horses. By Courage Under Fire, raced by the Duns and Mrs Taylor and Evans, all in Canterbury, and bred by Alta Breeding. This is a wee way back, Michael, but what we've done is gone for what we think is their career best performance. Here he is winning the Sweps Sprint before he ran 3rd to King of Swing in the Miracle Mile. He pops off the back of a Miracle Mile winner in My Field Marshal, and he was potent on this occasion.
And this shows what he can do when he's on the marker pegs and he's following speed. Now, this is the question. Alta Orlando's most recent wins have been on the marker pegs and following speed. Jack Callaghan's an aggressive young guy. Does he want to be in front on a smaller track where he'll swell up and he'll be confident and charging? Because after racing at Menangle, Cambridge is going to seem like a greyhound track to him. He's going to love every moment of it. But is he as potent that way? We saw him running second to Majestic Cruiser at Menangle last time in front, and it was good enough, but this is a stronger field, Greg. Yep. This is the key to the race, the key to the whole shebang. Does Alta Orlando stay in front and therefore aids stylish Memphis and plays against Markadan and against South Coast Arden, probably aids Self Assured? Or does he hand the lead to Markadan or South Coast Arden or Self Assured, changes the dynamic of the race? I think the young man you spoke to yesterday is the key component to the race by Grins.
Hey Jack, how much are you looking forward to getting to Cambridge?
Yeah, g'day Greg. It's very exciting to get across there and compete in a top quality race. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Not your first trip to Cambridge. I understand you've been there as a spectator. What else do you know about the track?
Yeah, that's basically it. I went there for the Jewels last year and had a great day out, and the club put on a good show. So I'm really looking forward to being on the other side of the fence this year.
Hey Jack, you've got a great association with Alta Orlando. He's come up with a beautiful barrier draw of 2. Where are your confidence levels, A, that you'll be leading, and B, you may very well stay there?
Yeah, pretty high for both. He's got, tremendous gate speed. He's definitely probably quickest horse in the race off the arm. So I'm pretty confident he'll be able to lead. And, whether I stay there or take a trail, that's just something I'm basically going to decide in the race. I know he's good enough that he can still lead and win this type of race, but he's also versatile, so he can do it, a few different ways.
You got a few horses around you that you know well. Majestic Cruiser's won the second row, and right beside you, Jack Trainor and stylish Memphis. So all of the form, and Markadan, too, is not foreign to you. Who's the horse to beat in your opinion?
Self Assured would have to be obviously the best horse in the race, most credentials anyway. But, he's got that really wide draw, so it's going to be tough for him. I think Majestic Cruiser is a great chance from that draw. It probably suits him right down the ground. He's just going to get a perfect spot without doing any work. And then, he proved last week that he's versatile, that if Cam wants to put him into the race, he can. So, it's obviously a great field, plenty of great horses. So just pretty happy to be in the race.
He's won 23 races, has Alta Orlando. 5 times Jack Callaghan has been in the cart. Just explain to me, for people at home who don't know who Jack Callaghan is, how far he's come, Michael, in the last 12 months.
Well, all 3 of those young men coming across, the drivers and, of course, Jason Grimson as a trainer, have come enormously far in the last 2 years. Now, Jack has got associated with the Belinda McCarthy stable, so clearly he's getting a great education there. But he's very cool and calm and collected. They're well-mannered, they're well-spoken, these young men. They're professional. Much like the jockeys in Sydney, they're leading far more that way. And he's got an association with the Spirit of St. Louis. Now, through that, he's been racing in Miracle Miles. He's been racing in the big races, the Victoria Cups, the Hunter Cups. And that's given him a grounding for this. So he's coming across here a confident young man. He holds the key to the race. My gut instinct is he may hand to one of 2 horses if South Coast Arden gets really revved up, or if Self Assured Mark Purdon does something he thinks he probably won't do. I think inside the first lap he hands to them. I think everybody else is out of play, and that is the key to the race. And I honestly believe Jack Callaghan doesn't know what he's going to do yet, because it will depend on where the pressure is coming from, with the caveat, of course, that Markadan could get him at the start, but he hasn't shown that type of gate speed in New Zealand yet. So I think he's a crucial chance in the race, and I think he's the best bet in the race, because with the New Zealand TAB, if you're watching this in New Zealand, he's 3.2 to run top 3, which will make him about 2.4, 2.5 to run top 4. The races he has placed in, Gregory, at the highest level: the Miracle Mile, the Inter-Dominion final this season, the Hunter Cup and the Victoria Cup. That's what happens when he gets on the marker pegs. That's good enough form to be top 4 in the race, and maybe better.
Yep, he's absolutely the crucial ingredient, particularly at the start of the race. Another of our millionaires is Spankem. I mentioned before we haven't seen a lot of him this side of Christmas. In fact, we've only seen him once on the racetrack. He's owned by the Kennards, the Brecon Racing Syndicate, the Gibbses and the Woodhams. Good luck to them. Hydroflow, of course, are the slot holder. He's won 1.6 million. He's won 20 races. And, of course, he won the Miracle Mile, Michael, in 147.7.
He's a great horse, but this is a long time ago now. Most of the horses in this field are retired. So this is what he can do, and this is what he would have done to this field had the race been in 2019 or 2020. I haven't seen enough of Spankem in the last year. I saw him yesterday morning. I went to the stables to look at him, and he looks fantastic. But I haven't seen enough of him on the racetrack. Now, Spankem is at his absolute most potent when he leads. When he leads, he can do amazing things. He's not the same horse coming from off the speed. He doesn't have that change-up speed. And I think you'll hear very shortly from Mark Purdon, they are reluctant because of his lack of recent racing to push the button on him. There's a school of thought here he will lead. This will change your mind on that. And that, to me, puts him in the running line in a situation, Greg, where other horses are coming around and he may get pushed back. He's a good enough horse to win. He is a great big race driver. But these words from his co-trainer, Mark Purdon, are crucial. Well, Mark, this is an unusual preparation for Spankem. How close to his peak can he be?
I'm very, very happy with his training, Mick. It's hard to say that, he's as 100% as we could have him, but, he wouldn't be far away from it. And I think after his last hit out at Alexandra Park, he's come on since then, and his training's been very good. I was really happy with him yesterday.
Is he well enough and forward enough to be used off the gate?
I don't think he'd want to be burning hard at both ends. I think Nat'll make the call there, but I'm sure that he's got a handy enough draw where he doesn't have to do that, and he'll still be handy and running.
Okay, so you're not expecting him to race off the gate alongside a Markadan or an Alta Orlando and be an early lead factor?
No, well, he wouldn't have Alta Orlando speed out of the gate, but it might be a case where he might be able to slot on his back.
If things panned out his way, and I presume, Mark, maybe he's in the 1-1 or something like that, best case scenario talk, can he win?
Well, I'd like to think he could, yes. It's not going to be easy, but he's a great horse, and we all know what he's capable of. And as I say, well, if he's in the 90s fitness-wise, I'm sure he'll still take a lot of beating.
I spoke to Natalie Rasmussen this morning, Michael. She flew up for his final piece of work. I said, what sort of article was in front of you? She said, he was very good. I was very happy with him. She echoed what Mark said there, though. I don't think I can use him hard out of the gate, but he's going to sit straight in the running line. If Alta Orlando leads, he sits straight in the running line. That puts him 1-1, maybe 3 back on the outside. She said, if the breaks go his way, they'll know he's there. That's the feel that she got this morning. He said 1 start at Cambridge. It was in the Flying Mile that copied that one, and he got parked, and it was just too difficult for him. He hasn't won a race since July last year, and he hasn't won a race in New Zealand since the Franklin Cup back in 2020.
That's when he came from off the speed, but he's never been the same horse coming from off the speed because he doesn't have change-ups. He can win the race. We know that. We all know the horse. But that's crucial information. Mark Purdon and Natalie saying we're not going to try and lead. Doesn't mean things can't change. Doesn't mean horses on the outside don't pull back. Things can change all the time behind the gate, but they are saying they're not going to be trying to lead. And they're saying it on a television program publicly. That changes the dynamic, and to be completely honest, I think he's an $8 chance. He's $4.50 now. If you put him in the running line, say he's first to the 1-1, there are going to be moves here. Yep. From South Coast Arden, and Self-Assured cannot sit last at Cambridge. The horse in the 1-1, after 400 metres in this race, could well be second last, starting the last lap. I love Spankem. I think it's a great story. Yesterday, to my eye, he looked fantastic. His coat was magnificent. I cannot back him if he's not against the marker pegs, and the belief we're hearing there from Mark Purdon is that he will not be.
I can't back him either. I think he's a great top 3 chance, but for everything you've just said then, it's not going to be easy for him at all. Krug is runner number 4. He's a 3-time Derby winner, 3 different drivers. Of course, Blair Orange in the New Zealand Derby, Tony Herlihy in the Northern Derby and Anthony Butt in the Redcliffe Derby. The Aussie lads are the slot holders. He's another by Bettor's Delight. He's won 650,000 and of course the late great Jack Smolensky bred him. 152.7 his best winning mile rate and he's the winner of 17 races. Here's his Northern Derby, Michael, the most remarkable race with A.G. Herlihy in the bike.
This is when he took hold of the greatest driver ever and just said, I'm out of here, you can just watch. And he wins easily in what didn't turn out to be a super strong derby in many respects, but he's a wonderful horse. I just am really concerned by his lack of recent racing. You'll hear from Cran Dalgety shortly, but I was out there yesterday at Pukekohe and his coach just starting to turn. We're getting to the colder times now. The colder weather's just starting to arrive in Auckland. And he looks like a horse who's ready to go to a paddock. This will be one of the all-time great training performances. Of course, with that mile rate, by the way, his New Zealand mile rate, he has gone 150.49 and change at Menangle. It'd be a miracle training performance. And again, I put him in the same situation, Gregory, as Spankem, where he's going to be in the running line, but where do you go from there? You can't sit parked and win this race. And if you're in the 1-1, almost certainly, there'll be moves in the race and you get pushed further back. Here's what Cran Dalgety said about this very unusual preparation for Krug. What do you make of Area 4, Cran?
Well, I'm actually pretty excited about it because it's a good happy medium. We're not drawing 1 or 2 and having to use a good draw, and we're not out wide of the gate. So we're not going to be the one that's going to sort of exert ourselves early and let's just close our eyes and see what happens after 200 metres. Very
unusual preparation. We haven't seen him for quite a while. How is he?
He actually seems super. He's got an enormous base under him. He's been tight for a lot of months, so we didn't need this sort of extra trial or extra race. It looks abnormal, but from the thoroughbred world, we may go in a Group 1, not race for 3 months, and we're only 5 weeks.
Can he possibly be at his peak for Thursday night?
He can win.
How?
Being out of the exertion early and using his speed.
Cran, who's the horse to beat after the barrier draw for the race by Grins?
Still the one we're looking up to is Self Assured. Sure, he's drawn 8, but it's just a starting position. It's not a finishing position. They have to do 2 loops of the track. If this race in a straight line, it sure looks easy. He'd win easy, but sure he's going to give them a head start, but he is good enough to do that.
Do you talk tactics with Blair Orange, or do you just give him the reins and say see you in 10 minutes?
Well, basically, I just sum up the condition of the horse, where I think he's at and where he's, if he's hot or if he's cold or wherever he is. And so I can sort of confidently say to him, you know, that the horse is as good as we can get him and as good as he's probably been in his career, because he's had so much under him. He's had a few highs, he's had a few lows, like all horses, but because his CV of travel and racing is quite high, he's got foundation under him.
He's a great horse, Krug. My concern is a little bit like we were talking about before. If he slots into the running line and he ends up behind Spankem, then he could be last a lap out.
He's a very similar horse to Spankem. Almost all of his best performances have been in front on the marker picks. That's how he's won his derbies, or the 2 major derbies in New Zealand. If you put him in front in this race at his peak, I'll be more than happy to be on him around Cambridge. And he has won at Cambridge, of course. He won the mile back there in January. I think New South Wales took the stuffing out of him. He looks good, but the coat is turning. He's the only one of the horses I've seen whose coat is turning already, heading towards autumn. I think he can win this race next year. I'll be surprised if he wins it on Thursday.
Yep, as I will be, but like Spankem, this would be a remarkable training effort by Cran and Chrissy Dalgety. Let's have a look at Markadan. He's runner number 5, which is crucial because he has very good early gate speed. Cullen Breeding Limited are the slot holders. The Zavitzanos is amongst the owners. He's won 540,000. He is a winner, of course, of the Newcastle Mile, and he has Richard Terence May, one of the really nice stories going into the race, having a stare on him for the first time.
It's a remarkable story. It's the Lazarus of harness racing, not the horse, the man. Here's the Newcastle Mile. This is 3 or 4 starts ago. No, it might be 2 starts ago. Basically, he led and he was too good. Now, this isn't a super strong field. That's Belraj down the outside. So it's not the sexiest field you'll ever see, but it's an indication of what he does. when he feels nice and strong and happy up against the marker pegs. He goes up about 3 lengths, I think, in the depth of the field. Mark Purdon wasn't jumping up and down about the horse when he first got him because he's not an impressive, big, strong horse. One of those fast Australian sort of cage fighter horses. So he said to Mark, well, now you've had him for a bit longer, have you grown to like Markadan a bit more? Well, Mark, you've had Markadan for around a month now. Has he gradually impressed you more?
Yes, he has, Mick, yeah. When he came, I don't know whether he's just a little bit flat after the Miracle Mile, but certainly his first 2 weeks here, he didn't really impress me in the same class as a horse like Spankem or Self Assured, but just over the last week in particular, since we gave him his trial at Alexandra Park, he has come on and his work's been good.
He gets barrier 5, he's very quick off the gate. Do you give Ricky May instructions, or Ricky, as one of the few people who's driven more winners than you, do you not give him instructions?
Well, I'd say Ricky would value my input, and you know, with his gate speed, I think you'd probably want to use it and put him in a handy spot.
Okay, say he lands in front, say he does get across Alta Orlando. Do you empower Ricky to stay there?
That would be Ricky's decision from there, and just how much pressure he would be copping, but I'd certainly leave the race to Ricky.
Where does he rank of these 3? Because he's a good horse, but Self Assured and Spankem are very proven at the highest level.
Yeah, well, his work has impressed me. I would have said sort of a month ago that he wouldn't foot it with these 2 horses, but now I think he's quite capable, and you know, he's a horse, if he gets the right run, I'm sure he'll be right in it.
He was 4th in the Hunter Cup, but he drew 1 the back row, sat in on the markers. That would be crucial for him, Michael. I can't see him getting there.
The lead's crucial. If he leads, he has options. He can lead or trail, and therefore he's a factor in the race. If he goes forward early and misses the lead and Alta Orlando doesn't want to hand it to him, he's in a world of pain. So I can't have him. Well done to Ian Dobson for getting involved in this race. Ian has been at the top level of harness racing for 25 years. Put him in a different barrier draw, Gregory, maybe a different horse, but maybe he'll spark up, maybe on the night, but I just can't have him because I don't see him as a natural leader, and if he does lead, I think he will need to burn very hard to get there.
All right, we're over halfway through our 9 horses going forward to the race by Grins. Be remiss of us not to mention Pembroke Playboy and the Dunstan team missing out on their opportunity, and the other connections that were involved in that slot holder. But yeah, we look forward to hopefully seeing him next year. Short break. On the other side, we'll preview the other runners in the race by Grins. Welcome back in to your box seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. It is the race by Grins, and Michael Guerin, we are halfway through what is the 9-horse field. Looking forward to having a look at runner number 6 here. His name is Hot and Treacherous. Of course, bred by the Breckens. He is the winner of 9 races. He's the most lightly tried in the race with just the 27 starts. He's trained by the father and son combination of Brian and Gareth Hughes, and the slot holders here are Honey Bros.
Yeah, that's John Green's honey company. Well done to John. He's been involved in harness racing for a long time, and he's got right behind this race. He has so much to be proud of. He's got a horse who's the emerging horse of the race. Now, this is going back to February, and he led on this occasion, and he beats a very good horse in Kango, who, as we know, has gone on to win last week at Addington in grand style. Here's South Coast Arden down the outside, trying something different, trying to run on. He was so good, Gregory, on Jules Day running 3rd. I think if Maurice McKendry can go back, relax, keep his nose clean, and Maurice is very good at being relaxed, he can come into the race late. I wouldn't be stunned if he runs top 3, but I do think he's 12 months away from winning the race by Grins.
All right, he loves the track. He's got the most experience there. He's had 5 starts for 2 wins and 3 placings. Here's what Maurice McKendry had to say.
Barrier 6, Maurice. Any plans?
No, not at the moment. I'll just see how it goes at the start. But yeah, everyone, you're going to do this and going to do that. But you don't really know till you sort of everything settles down, and I'll just see what happens, who's going out and who isn't. But he gets out pretty good, so I've got options. But yeah.
The Hot and Treacherous, who ran third at Cambridge on Jules Day, was pretty darn good, and I think he's a better horse now.
Yeah, he's gradually improved as he's got older and stronger, and yeah, it's probably a big step up this company. He's just sort of got there, but he's holding his own and been racing good. So yeah, we're in with the show, so who knows?
Is he a case, Maurice, that maybe he's 12 months away from winning a race like this?
Could be, like with the draw out a wee bit, but you know, race is a race, you never know what happens, and you know, it looks like there's been a little bit of speed early, and it just could suit him.
Who would have thought, Maurice, 30 years later, 40 years later, you're right next to your old mate Ricky May, both are in the 3,000 win club, and here you are in a $900,000 slot race, two boys from Memphis.
Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? It'd be great if one of us won it.
Yeah, good luck to the connections involved with Hot and Treacherous. He's worn saddlecloth number 7 before. His name is South Coast Arden, and of course, he won the harness duels with that saddlecloth on the slot holders. Philip and Glenys Kennard bloodstock. They're in the ownership along with the Breckons, the Woodhams and the Gibbses. We've seen that before. Trained and driven by Brent Mangos, bred by John Stuyven, and winner of 13 races. He is the big brute that is South Coast Arden, Michael Guerin.
There's two of them. There's the one who's off the marker pegs, who's very good. There's the one here who's on the marker pegs, beating Self-Assured, and Krug, who is excellent and incredibly hard to run past. Self-Assured had him here, and he fought back. And that's the same thing happened a couple of starts ago at Alexandra Park. Self-Assured had him, and he fought back. I think it's all in the same basket here for Brent Mangos. If he rolls forward and the Mango of years ago comes out, the aggressive one, and he can scare them and bully them and get to the lead, it's his race to lose. But if he goes forward and he misses, he can't win. I think Mango puts all the eggs in one basket.
Yep, well, let's have a look at what he did in the harness duels when he did exactly that. Moved forward and got the lead. We'll see him coming off the gate and grabbing that lead. That's him widest out. Barrier 7 in the red colours. Natalie Rasmussen on board on this occasion. And look at his acceleration. He only needs to do that at the 2,200 metre start point, and he'll be in a similar position, I believe.
He will, but there's an enormous amount of gate speed inside him, and it's Australian gate speed, which is a whole different kettle of fish. Now, he got handed the lead there by Tommy Lincoln, and here's what he did, and he could well do this. But it's a better field this week, and I'm not sure the Australians will be quite so intimidated. Of course, Natalie and the sulky there, not Mango, they are equally aggressive. He can win if he leads, Greg. I don't think he can win if he doesn't lead.
Yep, I totally concur with that, as he was too strong.
What do you think
151.6.
What do you think actually
what
happens?
I think happens is he's pretty neutral for the first 100, 150 metres. So at the winning post, I think he'll progress forward, and the best time for him to have a crack for the lead will be down the back straight. He needs to launch him and let Jack Callaghan know that he's intent on grabbing that lead. Or Ricky May, if he's able to get across them. Here's what Brent Mangos is thinking.
What do you make of Barrier 7, Mango?
Yeah, well, look, Nick, it's wide enough, you know, obviously. A bit handier would have obviously suited probably a bit better, but look, you take it as it is. You know, hopefully the race is run at a true run race early on, which will probably help an outside draw.
Do you like the idea of sliding forward, or the more you think about it, going back and coming into the race later?
Yeah, at this stage, I think if you pull back, you're awful long way back. So, you know, with only 9 runners, it's not as though there's 4 on the second row and you can't get in. So, yeah, I'll probably just slide forward quietly at this stage and see if we can get a spot or two handier than pulling back to second last.
a lot of people talking about the Australians, Alta Orlando and Markadan potentially being the leaders, the horses who may hand up. Would the Brent Mangos of old come out and maybe the back goes up and you get nice and aggressive down the back straight the first time?
Well, yeah, it'll be depending on how quick that is run, Mick, the first 600. If the lead time's quick, well, it's going to help us get him into the race a little bit earlier. But as I say, I've got to be a little bit mindful because of Self-Assured's going to be tracking me the whole way. So, look, if I wait too long, it's going to track him into the race and give him the cold shot at me. So, yeah, I'd like to be on the move a little bit early, and then it'll make Mark's mind up whether he wants to follow me or not.
For people watching at home, Brent, do you think you can get to the front and lead in the race by Grins?
Well, look, if he can make the lead without being a ridiculous, with a mile or 1400 to go, yeah, he certainly won't be handing up because that's his forte as a stayer, and he can roll good sectionals. But look, if they've gone that hard and I have to sit back, well, he's so adaptable now. It doesn't really worry me, but hopefully the races run or I'll drive him to his forte, which is stayer.
You took him to Cambridge on June the 6th to win the Harness Jewels in spectacular fashion. Is he as good as then, or is he maybe better?
I think he's probably better, Mick. He's probably mentally better, but he's definitely at that place at the moment where he was then. He's very happy in himself, and he looks great in the coach. So, yeah, I definitely think he's at that position anyway.
The horse to beat?
Obviously, Mark's all self-assured. As I say, he's going to be tracking me the whole way, and if the races run that hard and I can't get into it early, well, he's going to have the cold shot at me, and that's that horse's forte. He's a champion horse, but if he follows speed and has the last crack at you, he's probably quicker than me. So we'll just have to play it by ear.
He's an awesome sight, both the horse and Brent Mangos when he launches. I believe he will. I think if he gets the lead, he can absolutely win this race. He's beaten Self-Assured 4 times when they've been at war, and I reckon mentally that has a part to play when it comes to beating Self-Assured this week.
I think it does if South Coast Arden leads and Self-Assured has. So if South Coast Arden rolls to the front after 600 metres, Mark Purdon has to come sit parked. You cannot wait back there because he'll come home in 55 seconds or 55 and a half and you can't catch him. So if you're sitting parked outside, and when he's tried that, that's when South Coast Arden can beat him. He can look him in the eye and beat him. One caveat to that is that I'm not sure Self-Assured was at his best when that happened in the New Zealand free-for-all. We'll talk about him in a second. The big horse can win, but I think he can only win from one place. And I think if he leads, he becomes the horse to beat. But there's a lot of if between 7 and the marker pegs.
Yep, there absolutely is. The horse for him to beat undoubtedly is Self-Assured. Here's his credentials as he is the slot holder, SENZ. Great to have them getting involved nice and early. Grabbed the horse by Bettor's Delight, of course owned by Gene Feast, bred by Reg Calder. He's won over $1 million, 23 of his 38 starts. In fact, he's only missed a placing once and he missed away in a standing start race. He's an incredible horse, Michael. He's going to need to be at his absolute best. This was when we last saw him at his peak for mine, winning the New Zealand Cup of 2020. He's there again, if not even better.
I think when he's in this form, and I think he's in this form, he's the best horse in New Zealand, and with King of Swing now retired, he might be the best horse in Australasia. The crucial component for Self-Assured is this. Mark Purdon has been living with the horse. I was out there on Monday morning. There were only 3 horses there. The only horses they've got there at the moment, or that they were concentrating on, the ones they're putting the work into, are the 3 horses in the race. Now, Mark hasn't had for that long. Mark and Hayden. Spankem's had an interrupted preparation. This horse has had a perfect preparation. Nothing has gone wrong, and he has had Mark Purdon with him. Over the last 20 years of my time in harness racing, when Mark is one-on-one with a horse like that, Greg, they can do remarkable things. He will need to, because barrier 8 at Cambridge, and I presume he's going back to last, then moving around the field. He will need to do something remarkable to win, because most major harness races are not won by horses anymore off the marker pegs. It doesn't happen very often. But cancelling that out is Mark Purdon one-on-one with the horse. We went out because you got your money on the line and said to Mark, what do you expect on Thursday night? Well, Mark, you watched the barrier draw for the race by Grins on Saturday night, and I'm picking for once you probably weren't grinning.
No, well, that's the luck of the game, and you just got to take it on the chin. But he hasn't had much luck with draws because most of the races have been preferential draw up here, so he's always drawn the outside, so it's one thing he's used to.
He's had some practice at going back to last and trying to win from there, as he did at Alexandra Park last time. Does that give you confidence that he can overcome what's not the ideal barrier?
Well, he's certainly a great horse, and yes, he could, but you know, we've got 9 runners this time, and at Alexandra Park, when he's come from back, we've really only had 6 runners, so he's going to be a little bit further off them in a 9-horse field, so probably a race where I'd like to be handier earlier.
Okay, let's get to the crux of it. Can you go forward from barrier 8 with all that speed inside you?
Well, it's just, you've got to be there when the arms fold and just probably make a call early on. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out, the speed's not there like you think, so you just got to have your wits about you, and when those arms fold, be right there and be ready to make a quick decision.
If Mark, he has to go back at the start, for example, if Mango rolls off from inside you and you do have to go back to last, can you sit there like you did last start, or do you need to go sit parked in the middle stages because Cambridge is a different type of track?
Yeah, that's right, Mick. I think with a horse like him, who I'd probably rate the best horse in the race, I think if the opportunity was there, and it wouldn't matter at what stage of the race, you'd really want to put him in it and get him handy.
He's won in some amazing performances in the past, but the New Zealand Cup was the big one. That was the remarkable one. How close is Self-Assured, April 14, 2022, compared with the Self-Assured of that New Zealand Cup?
Yeah, look, I think he's racing every bit as good. He seems to be really in his zone at the moment, and you can't fault his form line and the way he's raced. He's done it sort of from being parked and won, and coming from the back and won. He's a very versatile horse, and all round it, he's a great horse.
You're looking forward to it. You've done everything else in harness racing. This is something different even for you. Are you looking forward to the new race?
Oh, absolutely, yes. There's quite a bit of hype about it, and a lot of media coverage, and yeah, no, I am. I think having the Australian input's given it a real buzz, so no, very much looking forward to it.
Okay, when you were at the barrier draw, Michael Guerin, and he drew barrier 8, what were your initial thoughts? Because we're about to show a race of a horse coming from back in the field. What did you think?
I thought, I'll get $3. That's what I thought. Here's Self-Assured coming from last in the Founders' Cup. As Mark said, a smaller field, but he just picks him up. He is in the zone, and the reason he is in the zone is because the boss is with him. The boss changes everything. Can he win coming from last? Yes, he can win coming from last. Will he try that? No, I don't think he will. I think if Brent Mangos gets to the lead, he goes round and tries and out-sprints him from the 600, 400. I think if Brent Mangos doesn't get the lead, he mooches up to try and sit park. It's not going to be easy, but he's clear top pick for me. 2.4 is small, there's bigger odds offshore. I don't think it'll drift much because of the Mark Purdon algorithm factor. He's the horse to beat in the race because he ticks all the boxes. Every other horse, Greg, I like to tip in the race comes with an if. There's no if here, but he's going to need to overcome a disadvantage, and that's where that factor I keep coming back to is crucial. What do you make of his chances?
Oh, he's got a great chance in the race. Where I think he might come unstuck is if South Coast Arden gets that lead and he has to sit outside him. I think South Coast Arden can bully him again, and therefore he can beat him. But if the race goes another way, his lethal speed will take him so far in this race, and he's obviously the one to beat for mine.
The lead time's crucial. The lead time sub 42 for the first 600. he comes right into the race. Lead time just above 42, different type of... Lead time gets down to 41, which it could do with the Australians there. South Coast, Selfish Shore to beat.
Do you think, Michael, this could become, for want of a better term, a boat race? Where they land is where they land. There's no real pressure coming from a captain, from a Hot and Treacherous or a Krug or those types of horses.
Well,
so once they get there...
Only if Selfish Shore leads, because if he goes back, he's got to come around. He can't sit last. What we're going to see here is horses who have drivers with confidence in their horse's ability, because they've all been winning. Every horse in this race has won a start in its recent form line. And they're all Group 1 horses. So I think they'll burn early, then I think there'll be another go, there'll be a secondary go down the back straight, and then if Selfish Shore's not part of that, he's got to come forward. And unlike most big New Zealand races, there's going to be no lead for the All-Stars here from another All-Star, unless it's Markadan handing to Selfish Shore, and where does that put South Coast Arden? He's in between them.
Yep.
I think it sets up beautifully, but there's less ifs about Selfish Shore than every other horse in the race.
Last horse in the field, he was last in, was Majestic Cruiser. Gee, he's come a wee way, this horse. He's raced by the Hole in the Wall gang as the slot holders and the Grins. Jason Grimson, a young trainer in New South Wales, doing some great things. He's won 21 races and he's in the right sort of form, Michael.
He's in great form. Last time out, he sat outside or came around Alta Orlando to beat him. That's not an easy thing to do. So here's Alta Orlando in front, and here is Majestic Cruiser coming up wide. So Alta Orlando's hitting the lead here. Majestic Cruiser is after him. So this isn't their latest start, but this is a couple of starts back. Very good on this occasion. So Alta Orlando, great performance. Majestic Cruiser, as good a performance. Then they went out last time Alta Orlando led and Majestic Cruiser came around him to beat him, sitting outside him. I think the start's crucial because if Alta Orlando punches off the gate and gets across stylish Memphis, I think Cameron Hart, who's a really good young driver, will be the best driver in Australia in time. I think he comes off the back of stylish Memphis and slides into the running line. A lot of people see him back on the market picks. I do not see that happening, and I don't think he should do it. Gets into the running line behind Alta Orlando, gets handier. He's $5 a place with the New Zealand TAB. He should not be that long. The barrier draw actually isn't that bad for him. He's paying more because if he drew barriers 3 or 4, people would think he'd be handier. He may actually be handier from 9 than he would have been from 3 or 4. So I think it's a great place chance in the race. I'm thrilled they're here because Jason Grimson and Cameron Hart are doing really big things in New South Wales. But I think an awful lot needs to go right, Gregory, for him to win the race. And even then, he hasn't shown me he's good enough to win the race because he's yet to win at the Group 1 level. Yep,
of course, that was a placing in the Group 1 sweeps. He's being looked after by Jack Trainor. Jason Grimson will arrive on Wednesday. Here's what Jack Trainor had to say about him.
Well, Jack Trainor, you travelled across with Majestic Cruiser, trained by your good friend Jason Grimson, so you know the horse well. Barrier 1 on the second line. What do you make of that for him?
Well, he's going to be relied on me a bit, isn't he? It's not a bad spot to be. He's obviously not known for his brilliant gate speed, so it probably wasn't a case that he was going to be able to use it on a handy frontline draw anyway. And just not seeing him in the Miracle Mile in those lead-up races over at Menangle, you know how fast he is. So if he does get any sort of amount of luck or the races run upside down and he's tucked away on the fence, you know that he's going to be finishing off. So I don't think it's a bad draw for him at all.
Tell us about young Cameron Hart. He's a guy who 3 years ago almost no one had heard of. He's taken New South Wales by storm.
Yeah, he has. He's a really good driver and a really good friend of mine, Cameron. And he's probably the only freelance driver in Sydney. He goes to most meetings, and yeah, I think he's actually at the moment leading the Australia Premiership on wins. So that's a big effort for a young fella that's only getting started out. So he'll be able to adapt to the New Zealand style racing, and yeah, he's definitely one of the best drivers over.
Jack, you and Jason Grimson work alongside each other at Menangle. Is Majestic Cruiser good enough to win the race by Grins?
Well, I think so, Mick. I think he sort of showed that in his Miracle Mile when he was sort of locking wheels and then still eating up the line. It's obviously his biggest test to date, and it's his first time against Grand Circuit company. But if you can take anything off his previous wins, I think he's definitely going to be in it with a chance, and you know he's definitely in the right sort of form. So yeah, I couldn't write him off.
Magnificent effort by all of the connections of the 9 runners to make themselves available, and for one M. Gurin, who got out of bed rather early on Monday morning to get all that.
Go to bed on Sunday.
Right.
No.
Mark it. Right. What's going to happen here, Michael, between now and 8:55 Thursday?
Self-assured won't budge too much because of the Mark Purdon factor. Spankem's the interesting one. He's underpriced, enormously underpriced. He should be an $8 chance. But Natalie, the algorithms love her and the punters love her. I like her. I just think that he's too short for what he is. This is a very interrupted preparation for him. I think South Coast Arden will get out to $5. And I think of the Australians, Alta Orlando is the horse who, Gregory, is in play because he's going to be on the marker pegs. Marker pegs are the story of harness racing. In saying that, Self-Assured probably won't be on them, but he's my top pick in the race. I'm going to go Self-Assured, South Coast Arden. I think Alta Orlando is a great place chance, and I really hope one day we get to change these photographs.
Yep, hopefully we'll get them changed at some stage. On with South Coast Arden. If he finds the front, he'll take a power of beating. Self-Assured is so brave and is so consistent, you cannot discount his winning chances. And Spankem, for me, is the horse that, if the right one turned up and he got the right run, he could absolutely win, and it wouldn't shock you at all. Time for us to take a short break on Your Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. On the other side, we'll have a look at the 9-time Group 1 winner, Sunday Sun, doing what he does best. In your home straight, in your box seat, last Friday night, Addington Raceway. Group 1 racing, it was the Fred Shaw Memorial Trotting Championship, and he just keeps on doing this. His name is Sunday Sun. He had the defending champion, Muscle Mountain, directly behind him. He was just simply too good once again. We'll hear from John Dunn post-race, but 9 Group 1 wins and the race they were after.
5 wise men, it's Sunday Sun. Oh, he sends shivers down your spine. 9 Group 1s, what a champion trotter. Sunday Sun a length and a half. Muscle Mountain ran second. 5 wise men third.
Well, that's the one you're after.
There's the one, Greg, and yeah, he did it really nice. So adds to the list of what a great horse and the big race he's won.
9 Group 1 wins. Let's talk about the race itself. Early speed, Muscle Mountain. You anticipated that?
Yeah, I did actually. Like, he's so good off the gate, and had to really put it in and try and trail me to sort of be handy. So it was a good drive from Ben, and I was lucky, just worked off the fence nicely and back to the top. So the horse did the rest.
Look, you had to chase him to the line. That's the first time you've really asked him, probably since the Dominion, but he just kept on giving it for you. Yeah,
it's probably, like I said, like last week I wasn't 100% happy. Krug's done a lot of work this week, and he sort of he warmed up $1 million and he went like that. And if you sort of chase him the line, even when the petrol tank's getting a bit empty, he's dead right. So yeah, I got a lot of confidence anyway when Krug pulled up after his track work on Wednesday.
310 for a trotter to go with his 356 in the Dominion. These are remarkable times.
Yeah, they are. Like they say, like unheard of a few years ago. So. No, it's a great bunch of trotters, and it's amazing how quick they can go now, these things.
Looking forward to heading up north, where he's already completed the Group 1 double before. He gets another opportunity at that in the Anzac Cup and, of course, the Rowe Cup, and the sort of form he's in, you'll be going there with a heck of a lot of confidence.
Yeah, sure will be, and like I say, it's going to be, there's 5 races up there, so it's and then one at Cambridge in the middle, so the other way around, so it's going to be great racing, and hopefully, like most of the ones in tonight's field are up there to be good races. The first one up there is not going to really be his go a mile. He's going to draw out the widest, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah, he certainly will do that. Excellent Muscle Mountain and 5 Wise Men. He's getting into his best sort of form at that level. Other big winners on the night. Kango, of course, won the Superstars with Coca-Cola, and Madame Delight took out the 2-year-old Leonard Memorial with Down by the Seaside. Kindergarten Stakes is on Thursday in the afternoon. Markets out. Don't Stop Dreaming. The horse, the Mark Purdon and Hayden Cullen Barn have been spruiking. $1.65, Olivia Thorney will do the steering, and OK Boomer will have Johnny Cox at $5. Da Vinci won a trial. The Black Flash from the Nathan Williamson team is a pretty handy sort of a horse, but it won't be easy for them drawn wide out. And of course, Addington Raceway on Saturday night. Field's not out for us to preview them properly. The $100,000 Hydra Flow Country Cups final will be a cracker. Here's where harness racing will be for you around the nation. This week, Addington in the afternoon on Wednesday have a terminating pick six, and we have a $50,000 pick six at Cambridge for the Race by Grins night. There's the $50,000 kindergarten stakes, 3:43 on Thursday afternoon, 12:15 they'll kick off there. Details around Thursday night, the $900,000 inaugural running of the Race by Grins, $10,000 guaranteed first four on all those races, and that pick six as mentioned. Saturday night, Addington, $40,000 Lone Stars Sire Stakes Age Trotters Classic, along with the Ratto races that are at $30,000 for horses, what they are rated at on the 1st of January. Deep races there. It's going to be a cracking night there on Saturday night. And Easter Monday, 10 races at Banks Peninsula. Looking forward to that. About 12:12 they start off. What about our Akiro races? Best bets for the week. I'm with Romeo Shard in race 5. Michael, you always see you do it.
It is, and I'm Miami, and look, get along to Cambridge. It's a chance to get on track. If you book early, $25, you get a $5 betting voucher, a drink, a race book. Get along and support it. This is new, this is fantastic. This is your race. The Australians are here. A new era in harness racing, which is needed, Gregory, has started. Congratulations to all involved. Good luck.
Yeah, looking forward to getting there on Thursday evening. That's been your box seat preview of the Race by Grins. We'll see you at Cambridge on Thursday night.